Good, everybody. What's good? Welcome to the Bundesliga show. Wait,
I'm loving that.
I weren't even ready. You weren't even ready. Hey, look, it is on to Up Top today, but I'm going to promote the other channel anyway because it's MAD Sports Network. You are watching this on to Up Top this week, and you'll be watching it next week on Football Dugout because we are all still family. Don't ever forget that. We are still our people, but we are representing MAD Sports Network. I'm Gav Mack, that's Devo, and that is Flo Wolfrum. What's good, people?
Top of the morning to you. It's St. Patrick's Day, so I'm having my only Guinness that I ever have a year on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, I love that sound.
That sound.
Oh,
there you go.
You're making me jealous.
I only drink Guinness once a year. That's it.
Oh, I just realised you changed your Twitter name, Flozif. So you've just come over to Twitter, and now you've changed it already, which you can see anyway on the screen. If you're listening to it, it's at Loboron_tweets. So that means that he's not just only set up a Twitter page, he's going to be active on it as well, which that makes me kind of warm inside. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. Of course, we've got to get through our normal things that we need to talk about. TFD code on Manscaped for TFB Dugout, so make sure you don't do that.
No, we're not doing that anymore.
I forgot to do that anymore.
Not doing that anymore.
Okay. Let's edit that out as well. Cheers for that. Just follow us all on social media, and if you put MAD Sports Network or to Up Top into Google, our names come up first. Of course. Right. Let's talk about some happy things before we talk about some sad things, and let's talk about Bayern Munich stretching their lead. If you want to call it happy, some people might not be overly impressed by it all, but Bayern Munich, they are cruising at the top of the league, and they've opened up a 4-point lead at the top of the Bundesliga, which is shiny. Werder Bremen were the unfortunate ones on the end of it this time. What do you think of this game? We'll go into the depths of it with you, Devo.
It was pretty much plain sailing from the beginning for Bayern. Werder Bremen had some decent results coming into this, but this was really Bayern at their ruthless best. They probably could have scored a few more. Pavlenka made some brilliant saves. There's two especially from Lewandowski back to back. The second one we tipped onto the bar. No idea how he managed to do that. But Lewandowski got his goal in the end. Obviously got the third goal just to put the game to bed. But, Bremen, I feel that they kind of didn't really push the agenda enough. They started off decent, playing some decent football. Then once Bayern got the goal, you could just see that they were a bit nervous. They tried to go forward, but they had no sort of cohesion going forward. And really and truly, they just couldn't handle Bayern Munich. It could have been more than 3, to be honest. But yeah, Bayern will be happy with this. They put pressure on Leipzig. We'll talk about Leipzig later, but easy 3 points for Bayern, probably one of the easier games to have this season.
Indeed, Flozif, it was all about the Muller show today. He's got his 98th assist of the season. Playing, what is it? It's 14, number 13 and 14 of the season in this game. Thomas Muller, how much time has he got left in the clock? Because for me, he could play until he's 38, 39. He's that type of player for me, Flo.
Yeah, I can imagine this, especially like a leading player in the midfield, maybe not being the player who runs the most in a couple of years, but he still has this eye, this instinct, and these qualities, and also this Mia San Mia, this whole Bayern Munich mentality. He transports this mentality like no one else. So I can imagine that he will have a lot of time left at Bayern Munich, and if not as a starter, he's always interesting as a sub or as a player just for the atmosphere in the team.
Yeah, definitely.
But talking about Müller, we need to say
Yeah.
we need him at the Euros this year. Müller in this shape. Yeah.
But did he said that he's available? Did he not? Or have I misread?
He always said he was available. So he always said, okay, if Joachim Löw changes his mind, he can always call me.
He's got to, surely.
And, now Löw has a I don't give a fuck point of view. I'll be away after the Euros, so I don't give a shit about reconstruct the whole team. So just get Müller there, get Hummels there, and let's play a successful Euros. Maybe.
Yeah.
This is a free hit for Bremen. Do you think they're gonna feel that affected by losing this game?
No, definitely not. Already before the game, Florian Kohfeldt mentioned, okay, 30 points. We're 9 points clear of the relegation zone. Let's try out playing football or try out improving our way of playing football until the end of the season. So I'm pretty confident they will secure 1 or 2 wins on their way, and they're very relaxed at the moment.
Right, okay. Let's have a look at Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg just like piling pressure on at the top of the league to ensure a top 4 finish. And after a little bit of a dodgy run of late, they made sure that they took the sword to Schalke. Schalke 5-0. And the fact it was only 1-0 at half time, I find that the most amusing part of all of this, because it was never like Schalke didn't turn up to this game, and I think they should just think about putting the kids out. I said the same about Sheffield United the other day in the Premier League. I honestly think Schalke shouldn't even worry about trying to get some names played and things like that. It
makes sense.
It does. Do you agree then, Dev?
I agree. You might as well now look to the players that are going to be there next season. Play the young players, get them some experience. Look at because they're going to know players like Mustafi and Kolasinac. They're not going to be there playing in the second division next season. Play the players that are going to be there. Who now you need to see, have you got what it takes for me to trust you next season? And I agree, play the kids. And it was funny after the game, Mustafi in his interview saying that they need to take the positives from the first half and apply that for the rest of the game. So, but you lost the first half. You only let in one goal, but you lost the first. Yeah, you lost the first half. So that just goes to show how bad things are at Schalke. But to talk about Wolfsburg, they had a disappointing result last week. Yeah. And this was a bounce back game. When they looked on the fixtures and saw, Schalke next, they must have been, brilliant, sweet, we could get back into the swing of things. And boy, did they. 5 goals for a team that haven't necessarily been putting loads of goals on the board. This is massive for their goal difference as well. Weghorst was unplayable. Baku.
Instrumental.
Yeah, it was just like a walk in the park for those two, especially. Everything they did good came through those two. But it's good to see Brekalo on the score sheet as well. I like him. I think he's a very good player, the young Croatian player.
Both big fans of Brekalo.
Yeah, I like Brekalo.
So beginning of the season.
It's good to see him back on the score sheet. He hasn't had the best of seasons. He's lost his place to Stefan and I've forgotten the other guy now. But he's got himself back on the score sheet. And Maximilian Philipp as well, who's another one who showed a lot of promise early in his career. Had a big move to Dortmund, didn't really work. Ended up in Russia. And is now back in Germany, and it'd be good for him to maybe get some games under his belt and find some form as well. Wolfsburg, it's always good to play Schalke, isn't it?
It's always good to play Schalke. We'll talk about that in a bit as well, because I've got something to say in a short while when we speak about one of the other teams that are knocking around. One thing that we have spoken about plenty times in this show, Flo, is the level of football in the second Bundesliga as it is in the first in the Bundesliga as a whole. So, what can Schalke do to ensure they bounce back?
Well, they did one important signing today. I don't know if you've already heard about it. But I signed Dani Latza, the current Mainz captain. And Dani Latza was a youth player in Schalke and made his first steps in professional football at Schalke. And he's a player who's known for being a fighter, being a team player, exactly, but also has some technical raffinesse. So he's exactly the kind of player you need in the second league. and you can build a team around, especially because he identifies himself with Schalke. And these are maybe the main points. Look out for players who identify themselves with the club. And they signed lots of youth players for the under-19 team in the last year. I was recently talking to a colleague from Schalke, and he said our strategy at the moment is signing all these under-19 players and hoping that they might develop maybe in second league and giving them the chance. So take a look at the youth, round them around some mature players, and maybe have one or two assholes, some fighters. Like this, like Richard Dunn type of players.
Richard Dunn. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, you need fight. You can't be playing this pretty tidy football in the Zweite Bundesliga. It doesn't work. You have to have warriors. And yeah, Dan Lanza, great signing, but personally, I can't see Schalke bouncing back anytime soon. I really can't. It's going to be a very awkward next 2 to 3 years for Schalke, in my opinion.
And their biggest problem at the moment, it's funny to say that, but they're not on the pitch. They're off the pitch. I don't know how much is covered in British media, but currently, they sacked the whole sporting stuff with Schneider, etc., and the coach. But currently, there was like an opposition coming from outside the club, contacting Ralf Rangnick whether he wants to be the new manager or head of sports at the club. Just imagine someone who isn't even employed by the club, a group of 14 people, like from the economy, former players, sponsors, etc. They gathered together and just contacted Ralf Rangnick's manager and asked him whether he would like to be Schalke's new head of sports. It's unbelievable.
Right. Arsenal fans out there,
the actual club.
If you ever think, Arsenal fans out there, if you think that our club is a shambles, don't even. Honestly, it's the most well-run, well-oiled business in the history of mankind, in comparison to what is going on at Schalke. 100%. 100%. There's a lot of drama going on down the bottom of the league, though. And we will start with Mainz, because I think they honestly felt that they were making moves when they beat Freiburg at the weekend. Palermo legend, I'll call him, Robin Kaizen, with the only goal of the game on 84 minutes. But this, it's the first win and the first points that they picked up in 3, and it's the first goal that they've scored in the last 3 games as well. So it's important that they got it. It's funny how they got it, because it wasn't the most sexy finish, if you want to call it that. It was a bit of a goal line scramble. And Freiburg is the first time they've suffered back-to-back defeats since November. So this will be painful for them for we know that they're going to end up mid-table. No matter whether they win, lose or draw, they end up in 9th anyway. So, but Mainz, this is a giant victory for them, despite everything that happened around them, Flo.
Yeah, it absolutely is, especially regarding the fact that Bielefeld got 3 points, Cologne lost, so now it's really, really tidy at the bottom. Except Schalke, of course. But Mainz, they have their belief back, and I'm sure, although they are on 17th spot at the moment, they are, for me, the most promising team not to relegate, because the other teams are going down. Bielefeld is just still, from my point of view, a shit team, although they were able to beat my club, but I guess we'll skip that later. Now, I'm trying to
flirt around that result at the moment. I'll go through them all. I'm trying to flirt around it.
No, we have to talk about that one.
They're on a very good way. They're scoring late goals. They don't stop believing, so they have everything what it takes to fight for or fight against relegation.
They don't stop believing. You're right. It's a bit of a journey, isn't it, Devo?
Yeah, the thing with Mainz, I'm
Thanks, Flo.
them.
Thanks, Flo.
I'm backing them. For me, I think, because not too long ago they were right there with Schalke.
Yeah.
Before they got Bo Svensson in, they were in the mire with Schalke, literally like a point above them. Both Svenssons come in and they showed pretty much in every game since that they're really trying to avoid this relegation. And they're going about a bit of a weird way. You know, they sold their top goal scorer, who was responsible for like 70% of their goals. Yeah. Club captain's just gone to Schalke. It's a bit of a strange way to keep yourself out of trouble, but it seems to be working for them. And they're right back in it. I think a point between the four sides, Cologne, Bielefeld, Berlin and Mainz. And I'd fancy Mainz to stay up and probably clear of the relegation playoff as well.
Wow.
Personally.
Who do you reckon is going to finish in 17th then?
Bielefeld.
Will Bielefeld finish there? That is the question, because they picked up a massive 3 points away from home against Flozis Bayer Leverkusen. Goals from Doan, who we love, Okugawa, which, you know, that weren't a bad finish either. And the fact that it was assisted by a former youth product at Bayer Leverkusen as well, in the shape of Lukoki.
Oh,
and
stop it.
Oh, no, it's just...
Have I ever told you about Lukoki?
Yeah, you told us about it. Didn't you play with him or something? You played in the same side?
Yeah, when I was very young, when we 8 and 7 years, we played for a year, and then he switched to Bayer Leverkusen. Congratulations to him that he made it, but I still don't get it how he could be a Bundesliga player. And in this match, he was starting. I was talking to my friends who watched it in a watch-along via Skype. I told them the exactly same story. How can he play Bundesliga? And then he's giving the assist for the second goal.
But it wasn't just an assist. It was a beautiful run. Honestly, he looked like, I don't know, prime Ryan Giggs, you know, when he was running down that left-hand side. And this guy's meant to be a dead guy, and he's like absolutely tired.
Everyone gets one.
The bus. Yeah, everyone does get one. They do. And I think we're going to talk about that.
He was favored by DRB. DRB, just to get a quick analyze, he would never make. He couldn't go to the ball like this. He had to stay with his player in the center of the field. I mean, the winger was on the wing. You had your fullback with him, with Wendell. You cannot go this way. And that happened. But the only chance could be that happened for Lukoki, just trying to somehow pass the ball uncontrolled in the middle and hope that no player is there. And it worked out.
Stop hating.
That's something that happens quite a lot, and this is why I don't understand teams when you have a corner or a free kick and you leave a couple players back, but often or not they'll leave an attacking minded player back because they're pacey. But I prefer to leave a fullback who's defensively switched on, because if a fullback was with where Diaby was, they don't come across to try and nick that ball because they are aware of what they're leaving in the middle. Diaby as a winger is thinking, I'm quick, I can get to that. He's not thinking, I need to be here because this is where the danger is. So that's something I never really understand when teams do that.
This situation really sums up the problem of Bayer Leverkusen at the moment, because before Christmas you had quite a good defending, and we call it rest defending. So what's over of the pitch, basically you defend this part. Most of the players are up front, and you have one-on-one situations behind, and you need to win the situations. And we don't win these situations anymore. We concede that easy counter-attacking goals, and we are not enough to score or to bring more goals on the. Yeah.
I think that's a bit harsh, because there was one player who did stand out quite a bit, other than Doan, who we've just lauded all season because we think he's boss. He's on loan from PSV, and I'm sure that he will be going back there. And if he doesn't, he will go on to a much bigger and better club than where he's at the moment. But Ortega, between the sticks, he was so inspired. He's been arguably... But I think he's in top 3 goalkeepers in the Bundesliga this season. I honestly do, because Bielefeld, we know they're not technically gifted. Other than Doan, for me, I can't look at them and be like, right, you look fantastic, or you know, I might pick you. It's been a lot down to Ortega, but defensively, even though they haven't got anyone who's great defensively, they will still defend in a bit of a unit, and it requires a moment of brilliance most of the time to get through them. How weird is that? you normally will have a standout centre half where you think, yeah, you're brilliant. But it's almost like because they're all collectively crap, they turn into one decent unit.
Yeah, Voltron.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
And you know what? I think they've looked a lot better since the new manager's gone in there, Kramer. As I think they've picked up something like 6 or 7 points since he's gone there, if I'm not mistaken. And Ortega was a big part of that. The save he made off Damari Gray's volley.
Damari Gray.
That's the save of the week for me across any league. That save was unbelievable.
It was.
Unbelievable save. And he has had a good season. I think Bielefeld, this bubble will burst. I'm going to say they've got the new manager bounce at the moment, but I think they will come up against someone and get battered, and I think from there it will start to unravel a little bit. But they're doing really well. They're making a really good go of it, but I think they'll fall short.
Augsburg, they're creeping away from it. They won 3-1 at home against Borussia Mönchengladbach. And at the time of recording, we have witnessed them against Man City, where they were weak. They looked lost. 7 straight defeats in all competitions now. 8 straight defeats, I believe, actually, in all competitions. So funny that it happens straight after the announcement that Rosa will be leaving and moving to Borussia Dortmund. Goals from Vargas, Richter, Hahn as well. Hahn, former product of Borussia Mönchengladbach. Neuhaus missed a penalty. Mahalia's having a nice little cry in the background. She is looking for daddy, wants to know where he is. Neuhaus did make up for it in the end. He did score towards the end. It was a very nice finish. But Lars Stindl, did I say Neuhaus missed the penalty? It wasn't Neuhaus missed the penalty. It was Lars Stindl who missed the penalty. And I'm not into conspiracy theories as such, but the way he dragged that ball wide is almost like he had no intention of making sure that ball hit the target.
He missed by quite a bit, didn't he? And that's unlike him.
It almost went out for a throw in.
But I think that the whole team's just devoid of confidence at the moment. And I think a lot of players just look like they don't really know what they're doing. They don't know what the future holds. And if I was watching, I don't even know if they can sack him. Can they sack him? Like, what, contractually?
There's an interesting theory behind that. Because one theory says that they didn't sack him because their under-23 coach, Heiko Vogel, who was once head coach of Basel and took them in the best of 16 round in Champions League, was still suffering from a red card in an under-23 match. And they wanted to wait until the red cards penalty is over. And it's over now. And now they play against Schalke. So,
yes.
We will see. If you lose against, it's a do or die match. If you don't win against Schalke, you have to sack Rose. It doesn't matter what anyone else says.
You absolutely came in just when I wanted to say it as well. It's like this run has been absolutely disgusting. And regardless of what's going on, there are teams that you should be beating. Can they stop this rot? Who have they got next? Schalke. Flo, you're right. If Schalke win this game, this is...
Even if they draw this game, drawing against Schalke is like losing against Schalke this year. Yeah. And also last year.
100%. I think drawing against Schalke is like losing to Bielefeld 3-0. It's a
comparable,
yeah. I just want to say something about Augsburg, and you just talk about Ortega and goalkeeper. For me, Gikiewicz is for me. I think he's my favorite goalkeeper this season. He just pulls off saves every week. He's pulling off save after save. I really rate him. I know he's at he's 33 or something like that. So it's not like he's young.
He's getting
upcoming goalkeeper. Who knows where it come from? But every week he's pulling out unbelievable saves.
But he still isn't mentioned for the Polish national team. He was mentioned last time.
A lot of good goalkeepers.
A year ago.
Yeah, they've got a lot of good goalkeepers. Szczesny, Fabianski, Skorupski.
He's not getting anywhere near that.
Yeah, they've got quite a few good goalkeepers in Poland.
Is Fabianski that good? I don't follow West Ham. He's West Ham goalkeeper, isn't he?
I would say since he's been at West Ham, because at Arsenal he was terrible. But since he's been at
I
West
remember
Ham, he's
that.
been constantly one of the top-end goalkeepers in the Premier League. I'd say top 5, 6, constantly. This season, he hasn't been as good. He had a long injury, but he's a solid goalkeeper. But I've always been a fan of Szczesny, personally. I've always liked Szczesny.
I love Szczesny from day dot, man.
Yeah,
I really have. I felt that.
How we sold him to Juve for 15 million, mind blowing.
He's quite a complacent goalkeeper, though. That's what I think. Because when he first came in at Arsenal, I used to be like, I really like him because, you know, like some goalkeepers just dive to go and get it, even though they know they're not going to get it. You know, if that's going top bins, what's the point? And I rated that. I rated that. I rated the confidence about it. It's like, if I could get that, I'm going to go for it and I'm going to save it. But then there was a few that after then where, you know, there were, all you had to do is sort of like stretch an arm out and he didn't do it. And that wound me up. I'm not.
You know what I think I liked about him is he reminded me a little bit of Jens Lehmann. And Jens Lehmann had this arrogance about him, you know, and a bit of a nasty streak, but he's arrogant. And I got that same kind of vibe from Szczesny. He's like, you'd make a mistake and he'd be like, yeah, that was me. All right, don't worry, it won't happen again. And it's kind of like, he's just got that kind of, I like that in a goalkeeper where they've got the confidence in themselves. They're not going to make a mistake and be like, oh no, good, oh, ground swallow me up. It's like, no, that's fine. Yeah, it was my bad, but I won't do it again. It's fine. I like that.
Back to Gladbach, because they're out of the Champions League now, which they were never gonna progress from there anyway. But you know, they're in 10th place, 10th position at the moment. They're on 33 points. They are 7 points shy of guaranteed European position. What do they do now?
Get a new manager and hope that it fixes itself.
Because there's a lot of star names there. That's the thing. They've got a lot of star names. If they don't get European football, I could see a lot of those. This is going to be a giant rebuild for whoever goes in next and whoever goes in and, you know, tries to cement themselves in that position. I mean, like, there's no fear of going down. There's 9 games to go. And they are 12 points clear of relegation. There's a lot of teams in between them, so they're not going to.
No house apparently. Liverpool after him. So.
Yeah, the players they have, if they're playing like this and they're playing like this because Rosa is leaving the club, it's their duty to play better the next season and stay at the club. If you think from your point of view, okay, I'm not going to play as well as I can, just because I'm, I don't know, annoyed that the manager leaves. And you can't say in summer, oh, we missed European football just because we played like a bunch of shit. And I'm going to leave the club now. This doesn't work. So I hope that no one leaves, but I'm pretty sure that Neuhaus would be, or Neuhaus is my top candidate to leave Gladbach in summer.
Yeah.
Player and Thuram, I can't see them hanging about. It would actually give Mbolo an opportunity to lead the line. Probably get some goals that way. Poor bugger. Tell you who has changed their form around since someone has been back, and that's Union Berlin. Union Berlin beating Cologne, which you know, is one of those bittersweet moments when you're the team that you support lose, but your closest rivals, they lose as well, isn't it, Flo? So
yeah, it was a good tech team move from Union Berlin. We talked to them after they played on Saturday and they won against Cologne, and we said, okay, might be a chance we lose some points, so you're getting a little closer to us. Bielefeld is getting closer to Cologne. Everyone's happy except us, but we take this for the team. And
brown envelopes knocking about everywhere. Brown envelopes are galore. Max Kruse, since he's been back, they've been unbeaten. How key is Max Kruse, Dev?
Very, very key. I know a lot of his goals are penalties, but you know, as we saw with last Stindl, it's not always a case of putting in the back of the net, but not many people do it better than Max Kruse does. But also, you know, he creates chances for his teammates as well. He created a really good chance at the end of the game, which Horn did well to save. But yeah,
good save, but I wanted that to go in so badly.
He had to. He should have finished it. He should have. But, you know, Timo Horn made a great save. But yeah, Union Berlin are undefeated at home. Their home form is what's keeping them where they are in the league at the moment. away from home is not as good. But they battled for this one. They got the 3 points. Good to see Trimmel scoring his goal. He's usually on the other end setting them up. But it's good for him to get his first goal in the Bundesliga. He's also in my dream team. And Cologne are struggling. They've been. I thought they were going to pull away from this relegation battle at one point. It looked like they were edging away from it, and they've been dragged right back down into the thick of it.
They're in trouble, man. They might be in 14th place, but they are a point ahead of Mainz, who are in 17th place. Mm-hmm. So it's disgusting down there. I wouldn't want to be in that boat at all. It was a case of 2 penalties in this game. Like the first penalty was scored on the stroke of half time. That was actually a penalty, by the way, which is going on in the ticker. I didn't put a pen next to Duda, but don't worry about it. Life will go on. It was an obvious trip by Robin Kocher, who fouled Jonas Hector. Easy pen, obvious pen, that's fine. However, the penalty was dispatched beautifully for the equaliser for Max Kruse. But I think it is incredibly harsh for a handball. I don't know what you guys think. Flo, Devo, you both ready to pounce on that one? I think it's harsh as hell.
Actually, I wasn't watching the matches on Saturday afternoon. I listened to them on the radio. I did like an old school afternoon, and
Nice.
I was forced to it because I have to study for a big exam next week, Monday, last exam in my master's degree. And
Cool.
this exam is really fucking me. It's the worst at the end. So I decided just to listen to the radio and can't really comment to that penalty decision.
Yeah, they'll sell it a different way on audio as they would on visual. Devo.
Yeah, the handball rule is it needs to be looked at, and I think it is being looked at, isn't it? But according to the laws of the game, it's a handball. It's very harsh.
He's pulled his arms away and he's turned his body. He's pulled his arms away. It's not like he stuck his arm out.
His arm was out a little bit, wasn't it? I mean, when he's turned, his arm's not down by his side. It's kind of bent.
That's called physics.
Yeah,
this
that's
sounds
what I mean.
like there was a brown envelope for the referee too. But
there's another one.
Because of the way the laws are interpreted, it's a penalty. That's the problem.
I don't know.
The problem is the handball.
If no penalty was given, I couldn't see VAR overturning it. That's the issue. So VAR, like if you give it, you can't not give it. Oh
yeah,
sad stuff. Don't like it. Not a fan. Don't. Gav Mack does not like this. Right. Where are we going next?
You need a button like this where you just push a button and it comes up. Gav Mack does not like this.
I'll make one. I'll make one for
there
next
you go.
week. No problem at all. Set me tasks, and I like people that set me tasks. Devo does it all the time. I kind of dig it, but I'm not used to it. Anyway, Stuttgart 2, Hoffenheim 0. Stuttgart winning games at home. Mad things. I'll tell you who was inspired today, on this performance. Wamangituka. We only called him out last week for not doing a lot, and he's obviously heard the show, endorsed, of course, and he's thought, I ain't listening to people like Devo and Gav there, like, cussing me out. I'm going to make sure I turn up and do a job. So he did. Unfortunately for him, the opening goal from Adams was an own goal, of course, so he won't be accredited with the assist, but what a drill across the box.
He was doing that constantly. And it's like they can kill you from either side, because we've been speaking all season about Sosa and his deliveries and how Sosa's been so integral down the left, swinging in crosses. And this week is Wamangituka on the right, putting in drilled low crosses and just causing all sorts of mayhem in the Hoffenheim box. He is a quality player. I rate him very, very highly. And, again, my guy Endo in the middle as well, just pulling strings. Endo's just pulling strings, just so casual with it.
Yeah.
He's a joy to watch. I don't mean to say that he is comparable to Modric, But when I see Modric play and he makes it look so
Way-
effortless,
Yeah.
Endo is also so effortless in what he does, but he also gets stuck in. I rate him highly as well. And obviously Kalajic, he's now equaled the record of Freddie Bobic, scoring
That's
7
right.
consecutive weeks,
95,
7 consecutive
96.
games, sorry. And that's a big achievement for him, considering he was out of the team for a long time. He started the season on fire, lost his place to Nico Gonzalez. Gonzalez gets injured, comes back in, and he's like, he didn't miss a beat. Straight back in, scoring goals. I think Stuttgart can go. Actually, I'm not gonna jinx it. I'm gonna shut up.
No.
I'm gonna shut up.
I'll tell you what, Stuttgart will get relegated this season.
Yeah.
That's what if
They're
you
gonna-
say that.
they're gonna
then
fall
they
away.
might squeeze in the back door.
They're gonna fall away.
Yeah, they're currently eighth position at the moment, 36 points. They are 4 points shy of Flo's Leverkusen. Only between them is Union Berlin. For Stuttgart, I honestly believe that they would have hoped that Max Kruse would be out for longer. Because now that Max Kruse is back, I can see the Union Berlin flow and fire coming back as it did at the beginning of the season. I think it might be a little bit too little too late, but once again, there's still 9 games to go. Anything can change at the top of the league. Hoffenheim, though, they are only 6 points behind Stuttgart. So you could argue this was a 6-pointer. And I know it's only in the middle of the table, but it's a case of momentum. Hoffenheim are out of Europe now. So what does this mean, Flo, for Hoffenheim right now?
I believe I said it already 2 weeks before. The season is basically over for Hoffenheim. Take a look at developing young players, developing maybe your idea of playing football for the next season already. And just try not to manipulate the season by losing against the teams at the bottom of the league. And they should have one big aim, and that's, I believe, beating Schalke at least in the back match. In the second match. They're the only team losing against Schalke. So you're the loser to the record loser. I don't know if you can say it so, but that's not a title you want to have. You have to clear this at the next meeting.
Definitely. Stuttgart, man, they are one of the easiest teams to watch in the Bundesliga. You can literally just sit there, you just want it to be a sunny day every time they play. And you've got ice cold beer, we're celebrating, we're having a cigar, and I've got my cigar, my ice cold, like a Berliner, or trying to think of really, really nice, tasty, crisp Vorsteiner, just like sitting there and just watching them.
Warsteiner.
Warsteiner is nice, man.
We have so many better beers than Warsteiner.
Yeah, I know, but we're limited over here, aren't we?
I don't think I've ever tried.
Brinkhoffs is nice.
It's getting only worse.
Brinkhoffs, don't you like Brinkhoffs?
You're going to have to educate us on these German beers.
It's okay, but
care
and
packages.
Brinkhoffs, they're rather in the lower range of Pils in Germany.
What Pilsner would you suggest? So I want to see if I can get any over here.
On tap, Bitburger, from my point of view.
Oh, well, look, Bitburger. Yeah. See, I remember the advert. I remember that I had my first Bitburger at the age 17. I was on holiday in Rhodes, and it's the only beer that they had on draft, and it was on every single TV advert as well. Bit, and it's like, look, I'm in Greece. Like, why are we talking about German beer in Greece? Didn't get it at all, but banging stuff. What else can you suggest?
It always depends where you're living, but from my point of view, Veltins is also
Veltins,
good.
Nice stuff. Yeah,
from Schalke.
I always thought that was Dutch. I always thought that was a Dutch beer. Don't know why.
I also like Jever. Have you ever heard of Jever? Jever Pils?
No.
It's from the north of Germany, and it's really rough, a bitter beer. It tastes a little bit like wind somehow. If you describe it, like the wind in the North Sea, they describe it like this. They say like the countryside, rough and windy, so tastes the beer. That's like some. So
basically,
like
you're
the
saying this beer tastes of fart. I'm going to have this beer because it tastes of fart. Yeah, cheers for that one.
Moving on.
Leipzig, they lost ground at the top.
Oh dear.
Leipzig, they lost ground at the top. There's a 4-point gap now between Leipzig and Bayern Munich. 1-1 draw at home to Eintracht Frankfurt. It's funny, last season, it was their home form that was letting them down quite a lot. And I'm not saying it's their home form letting them down this time. It's just when it comes to the big games of big names, they don't step up and take control. For me, the first half, they were in full control of the first half. They just couldn't do anything to push it over the line. They've gone in, they've come out at the second half. They've got an early goal. A great controlled finish after a wonderful save from Kevin Trapp. But Emil Forsberg, he slots it home nicely. He's the joint top goal scorer on 6 goals, which is great because they are spreading the goals around. And the starting lineup of the 10 outfield players, every single one of those has scored a Bundesliga goal this season, which I think is cool as hell. But it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
Yeah, I think you saw the issues that they have because I think Kluivert had a brilliant chance that he should have done better with. And I think that they missed too many chances. I think this is the difference between even Dortmund, in front of goal, more time than not, it hits the back of the net. They've got Haaland, who is an absolute monster. Bayern have obviously got Lewandowski, who's an absolute beast in front of goal. Leipzig are that player away from being a real, genuine threat.
1 million.
If they can get that one guy who just lives for goals. If they had Andre Silva, that's just because they were playing Frankfurt. If they had Andre Silva or even Luka Jovic, if they had either one of those in their team, that would push them up.
If they would have been able to sign Haaland last winter.
Yeah, they tried.
I expected
didn't
this transfer, but this would have been the key.
Everyone assumed it.
Well, I mean, there's the Red Bull link, but obviously priced out of it, I imagine. But yeah, if they had that killer to finish chances, they would be just a different side altogether. This will hurt them. And Frankfurt, they just couldn't. Frankfurt just kept plugging away, and they got their reward in the end. Kamada with the goal, but it was a very scrappy performance from Frankfurt in particular. In that they just seem like that kind of boxer where you might have them on the ropes, but you just can't finish them off. And you think, right, they're going to tire out, and then they come out for the next round, and it's like, this guy's fresh. So I've just been pummeling him for like a whole round. How's he fresher than me? And it ends up a draw.
Do you think they were focusing too much on their defensive side of things? Because even though Leipzig, they are not renowned for having a out and out goal scorer, they still do slap in a couple of goals every now and then. So do you think they were worried more about they turned up for a draw, basically? That's what I'm sort of getting at. Do you think Frankfurt did that?
Yeah, I think towards the end of the game, it became clear that they were happy with the point. It became clear at the end of the game. Leipzig really wanted to win that. I think Frankfurt were happy to take the point, and get back home with a point. I think it became clear in the last 20 minutes or so. To me, it seemed like, there's only one team who really wants to go on and win this. Obviously, Frankfurt was still coming forward, but not with any real desire to really take the game to Leipzig.
Yeah, the point is a good result for Frankfurt because they had lost and drawn the last games before. They were kind of in a declining way. And now a point at Leipzig can give them maybe some new energy for the upcoming games, showing them that they're able to compete with the top teams. I mean, they beat Munich, they draw Leipzig, so didn't lose against the top 2 in the Bundesliga. So basically, you can beat everyone.
Massive. They've just drawn too many games. They've drawn 11 of the 25 games that have been available to them. All the top 4 have lost the same amount of games, 3 all season, all the top 4. And the difference is winning games and drawing them. And you look at each of the teams. It's like, right, have you gained a point? Have you dropped 2? And out of the top 4, I would say that Wolfsburg are the team that have dropped the most points. Because they've dominated a lot of games and they've not gone on to get the victory, which I can imagine is frustrating for them. But they're comfortably in third, and this point for them, I know it's only a point, but the gap is tightening at the top, and Leverkusen not winning. If they had won that game, they would have hopped ahead of Dortmund, who won 2-0 at home to Hertha Berlin at the weekend. Julian Brandt. Is it Julian or Julian? How do you pronounce Julian?
Julian.
Yeah. Oh, straight up, Julian.
So in German, we will say Julian. So this is
Julian. Yeah, that's fine.
Julian.
I see.
But I believe it's okay if you say Julian.
No, Julian. No, I want to pronounce it properly. Do you know what I mean? I'm all German in that now, isn't it? And Makoko right at the end. Vladimir Darida was sent off as well. 10 minutes from time. We need to discuss this opening goal because Julian Brandt, he slapped that from about 25, 30 yards out, and it moved a little bit, the ball, but it didn't really deviate too much. What the hell is the keeper doing?
I think for me, when I watched it back, I think he was in two minds whether to just try and palm it out or try to get his body behind it and try and catch it. And it kind of, by the time he's made up his mind, he did neither. It's like he tried to just push it out with his forearms. It seemed like he was caught in two minds of how he was going to, try and save it. Terrible mistake. And it's a shame because he made probably the second best save of the weekend earlier in the first half, where he tipped one over the bar, and it's just unbelievable save. And then he's gone and messed it up at the end. I saw, because when I saw it on Twitter, I saw people talk about Julian Brandt, and someone said it reminded him of what's his name? No, from years ago against Dortmund.
Oh,
Canaloglu?
At
Hamburg.
He's freaking. Yeah, they said that it reminded him of that, and I thought, oh wow, let me see this. I saw it, I was like, what are you on about? It's nothing like that goal. Nothing like it at all.
This Canaloglu free kick was full of balls back then.
Yeah,
from 40 yards, scoring this free kick goal.
I still don't understand how that's, because you must have been able to see that coming for a long, long way. I don't understand how he scored that.
Nah, I don't understand either. Mokoko's in the German national side, I believe.
Under 21s.
He made it to the under 21s.
Under 21s.
Pictures as well. Stick him in the first team.
Well, this is something I actually wanted to ask Florian, because someone on Twitter asked me what would be my starting lineup for the German going into the Euros, and I could not think of who I'd want to put up front. So I just decided to put Muller there as kind of like a false nine, with Sane and Gnabry either side of him, or whoever else you wish to put either side of him. That is a problem area for Germany. I think Werner obviously would be the name of a lot of people, but he's not really having the best of times at Chelsea. Other than him, I think Kevin Volland's probably your next best striker. He's doing well in France. But who would you get?
Volland is unfortunately, I don't know what he's ever done to Joachim Löw, but hasn't been mentioned for 5 years or 4 years, although he had great performances in Leverkusen too. I would have 4-3-3 and up front Sane, Gnabry and Werner in the middle, because you have this massive pace, and at the moment you're in a position as a German national team where you are not necessarily the biggest favorite for the title. So you don't need to be the team you were 5 years ago, where you always have the ball, circulate the ball around you. You could rather play with pressing moments, counter pressing, counter attacks, and use the pace of your players, and maybe use these weapons to beat sides like France or Spain, who have more quality on the pitch. You have a great midfield from my point of view. Just take the three from Bayern Munich. Müller, Goretzka, and Kimmich is working out really good. But also behind Kroos, Gündogan. Gündogan is playing like the best season of his life.
Boss in life at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Germany probably have the best central midfield options throughout the European teams. Possibly
Problem
Portugal
there is that you have this Toni Kroos, for example, is favorite player on the most important player for Joachim Löw. But I believe his time in the national team is over. He should have stepped back after the World Cup because he's holding a place. And Löw wants Kroos to play. And then obviously he will play with Kroos, with Kimmich and Goretzka because they know themselves from Bayern Munich. And Gündogan is always under the radar. And if you bring him as a sub,
Which is
it's not
ridiculous,
that good.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not the same.
You should bring Gündogan and Kimmich and Goretzka. Or maybe Müller, but Kroos is not that important at the moment for the German national team. He's
That's
too
crazy.
slow.
Mm.
Yeah, although he's a great player. It's sad to say something like that about him.
Right then, it's time for this.
Wolfram's words of wisdom.
Flozif.
Yeah.
Who's this?
Well, I give you a hint. He met Tottenham last week in a European Cup match. It's Zoran Mamic.
Oh,
I have to say,
the
former head
of
coach
Dynamo
of
Zagreb.
Dynamo Zagreb, who's now going to jail. I don't know if this was a topic in England.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
We've seen about
5 years
this.
or something, no?
Yeah,
it's been
and
a
his
bit
brother
naughty.
even 2 years longer. Yeah, and most don't know that he spent longest time of his career in Germany. And we are very,
Was
very
he
proud to have
Hamburg as
had such a
well?
player like this in Leverkusen. He was in Leverkusen, Bochum,
Bochum.
Aalen, and one other side. I don't know. Take a look. Eintracht Trier
yeah, he was
and
good,
Greuther Fürth, but he was playing in a
Greuther Fürth,
couple
yeah.
second league clubs, and he might have had his best time in Bochum and Leverkusen in the first, in the Bundesliga. Yeah, and he's wearing an iconic tricot, a jersey from the year 99-2000, where we lost the championship in our last match in Unterhaching, and it still hurts. We looked like the champions, but lost it through an own goal from Michael Ballack. We just needed a draw.
I was going to say that Unterhaching are a good side, but we all know that's a lie. So
Yeah, it is. But I was just reminded yesterday or 2 days ago with the judgment about Mamic, and then that was ringing a bell that he was playing for Leverkusen. So I thought, okay, let's mention this and talk a little bit about his famous career in Germany. I still don't know how he could still walk on a free feet for so long, such a long time. I want to know how much money he put into his pockets from the transfers from Dinamo Zagreb.
Apparently it's 15 million or something like that.
Wow.
In whatever local currency is. Well, they can't remember what the Czech currency is. Czech, Croatian.
Croatian. What's Croatian?
It's not kuna, is it? Not Croatian kuna.
No.
No, it's
Croatian
kuna.
currency.
It's kuna.
It's kuna.
Yeah.
Yeah, kuna. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So it's pocketed a lot of cash. Naughty man, and will not be on the bench in the return leg against Tottenham Hotspur in the Europa League. So naughty man, but did represent Bayer Leverkusen at one point. So that was this week's Words of Wisdom.
Wolfram's words of wisdom.
Let's take a look at some tables. Right then, so at the bottom of the table are Mainz in 17th place and 21 points. Above those in the relegation spot are Hertha Berlin that have just thrown themselves right into the relegation mix. They've been knocking around it, but they were mid-table for a long time, and then they fluffed their lines, absolutely shagged it, and they have been hop, skipped, and jumped by Arminia Bielefeld after that emphatic 2-1 victory over Bayer Leverkusen. So they are now in 15th place on 22 points. Level with Cologne. Cologne on 22. Augsburg, massive gap now, 7 points with 9 games to play after their 3-1 win over over Borussia Mönchengladbach. Werder Bremen, they are on 30 points along with Hoffenheim and Borussia Mönchengladbach. They are knocking around, but they are not going to be going down. They're in 10th place on 33 points. In 9th place are, imagine that, Freiburg. They love 9th place. They've been in 9th place pretty much more. I think they've been in 9th place longer this season than Bayern have been in first. I'm going to do some research on that because I honestly think that is true. Stuttgart, they have hopped above those on 36 points. Freiburg, of course, losing against Mainz at the beginning at the weekend, and Stuttgart winning at home, which is always a shock when they do win games at home, although their second win at home in the Bundesliga this season. Union Berlin, they remain in 7th. Another team that have been knocking around in the same spot for a long time. Is that another can that you're opening? Oh, listen to that.
That wasn't me. That was Flo.
Oh, is that Flozif?
Yeah, but it wasn't a can.
I can smell it.
I can only have one.
I laughed at Mike. If you have like,
Yeah.
Have you heard the sounds from
Absolutely
Mike?
gorgeous stuff. Love it. Bayer Leverkusen are in 6th place at the moment. They are on 40 points. Union Berlin on 38, incidentally. So it is relatively tight, knocking around for those teams that are trying to make sure they guarantee 5th and push into 4th. Borussia Dortmund have gone back into 5th place. They're on 42 points, 2 points shy of Frankfurt, and the top 4 haven't changed, but they're in terms of position, but there is change in terms of points. So Frankfurt 4th place on 44 points. Wolfsburg on in 3rd on 48 points, of course, stretching their gap between those and Frankfurt. Leipzig, they dropped 2 points as far as I'm concerned. They're on 54 points, and now there is a 4-point gap between those and Bayern Munich, who are they top? Yeah, rarity that they're top of the league. Fixtures, there's some mad fixtures this weekend, as there is every single weekend. So on Friday is Arminia Bielefeld. They'll be entertaining RB Leipzig. That'll be live on BT Sport. On Saturday at 2:30 UK time, 3:30 on the continent, you got Bayern Munich, who are just incredible. We all know this, against Stuttgart, who are awesome away from home. That is the live game.
Big game. The first fixture, Stuttgart really pushed them. This could be a tasty game.
Very right there. You are so true. Frankfurt, they entertain Union Berlin, who have found a bit of form since Max Kruse has been back. FC Cologne, they entertain Borussia Dortmund, and Bremen play against Wolfsburg, the Green Derby, the W Green Derby, I'll call it. Schalke are at home against Borussia Mönchengladbach, and honestly, I can't tell you which way that game is going to go. How sad is that?
I think it's quite cruel that BT Sports are putting Schalke on live quite a lot. It's like they almost just want people to, view.
Let's just put
they're falling apart.
Let's just put them on blast. On Sunday, 3 games: Hoffenheim versus Mainz, big game. Hertha Berlin versus Bayer Leverkusen, and Freiburg versus Augsburg. So some big games knocking around down the bottom. But yeah, that's it for us. Thank you everybody for your comments and bits and bobs. There was a couple of comments that were knocking around. We didn't really read too many out, if I'm honest. The only quick one that we'll say is, do you see a top side coming in for Andre Silva this summer? I'm going to say no, and that's all. I'm going to leave it out there. No offense. I do love you guys at FTLOL. Make sure you subscribe to those. But for myself, Gav Mack, Devo, and Flozif, thank you everybody, and gute Nacht. Oh yeah.